Okay, so just a few days ago, Adobe released its AI assistant. It's currently in beta, but if you have certain subscriptions, you have access to it. I have access to it. And so, like always with my demo videos, I haven't used it yet. Yes, I've used Acrobat and Reader and all that, but I haven't turned on or really use the AI assistant in any way. And so I'm just going to walk you through my first few minutes. Again, why do I do this? Why don't I practice and show you like the inside scoop? Well, it's because I'm a firm believer that these generative AI tools have to be designed for usability out of the box. They should be intuitive. And we know that when ChatGPT was released, many people were treating it, and unfortunately still do treat it like a Google search window. And they're left uninspired and unimpressed by the responses of these generative AI tools because most of the companies providing this aren't giving clear guidance on how to use them and how to get the most value out of them. So that's why I do these videos. Let's walk through and see what we can see on Adobe. So I have just two PDFs pulled up. This is your standard sort of Adobe interface. And one is a case study that I teach in law school. And the other one is a master's of service agreement that has been anonymized. So let's start with the case study first. Here is the AI assistant right here. Now you can see that it immediately is just giving me some reminders of what I can do, generate key takeaways, summaries, answer questions, all that kind of stuff. It does say right here, double check your responses and sources. Okay, so you shouldn't rely on me for professional advice. Okay, that's good to remind people. We seem to forget that regularly. These things are so convincing. So let's just go get started here, and you're going to see that it's working itself through the document. This document's 28 pages long. That's about, I think, 22 pages of text. The appendix is charts and all that, and I have no idea how well this thing can actually understand charts. Depending on my time with you, I may try that. I'm going to pause this right now, and I'll get back to you when it gets back. Okay, so you can see that it went through this document, and it has some suggestions to try. What was Wachtell Lipton's profit per partner in 2018? What incident inspired Wachtell to focus on transactional representation? And what's the significance of the poison pill? And Marty Lipton, for those of you that know the legacy of Wachtell and its role in M&A transactions. I'm just going to choose one of these. I'll choose this incident that inspired Wachtell to focus on transactional representation. It's a little less ambiguous than saying what were the profits per partner in 2018. I think it might be able to get that. So let me just read this and see how. Okay, so it actually recalls from the case study, whether I assume it's true, that basically Wachtell ended up firing its largest client who was asking it to take a position that it was uncomfortable with. Now, I don't really care about telling you about the Wachtell story, more about looking at the functionality here. So you can see when I hover over this, there's a 1 here, and it goes to the source, right? So I click that, and you can basically see where it's drawing this from. Here is a 2, and it sort of gives you a sense for the governance and management of this. So if I wanted to dig in a little bit more, I would sort of see it's right here. All above here is during sort of that whole incident, if you will. So a pretty good job of doing that. Again, it's 28 pages long. Now I'm going to ask it something else that it didn't already tell me about, and let's see how it does. Okay, so my prompt down here is, or request, is describe the firm's governance and leadership culture. Now, because I teach this case study, I know there's a big section in here. It uses partner quotes, and I already understand sort of what this culture and governance and leadership regime is, how it's described in this case study. I'm asking it, I'm going to be interested to see, does it summarize it? Does it actually pull passages out? Yeah, let's see. I don't know how fast it is, so I'm trying to stall here. Sorry for the ums and uhs, but I also want to give you a sense for how fast this is moving. Okay, I'm going to pause just so Okay, this did a really, really good job. These are actually three of the 4 points that I teach when I'm sort of focusing on governance and all that. And it hits it. I'm not going to go through this. I'm not teaching you the case study. Again, nice organization of these things. Again, I love how it's basically showing you the areas that it's grabbing this information from. It's nice and organized and all that. Okay, let's go over to the MSA. That did a pretty good job. I'm going to turn on the AI assistant. I'm going to pause this again while it's processing the document. This one's 21 pages, but very text heavy as you. Okay, so in this MSA, because again, I've read it and digested it and dissected it many times, there is a big data privacy section in here. It covers US as well as EU GDPR concerns and all that. It has data compliance and records management requirement in here too. And so say I'm reviewing this MSA and I don't want to go sifting through that. So maybe I just click on how long does the provider need to retain accounting records under this agreement. Okay. Some of these MSAs, as you know, can be very, very lengthy. This is a short one at 21 pages. So here it says 6 years. Now let me verify that. Let me click on this. Provider will retain records for 6 years after the 6 years after the amounts documented and such records come due. Okay, so it gets it fairly right. Now there's some contingencies here that are referenced throughout. So again, you're not going to rely on this and just say, okay, it's 6 years, but at least it got you into the document. You sort of understand you're in the records section. You need to sort of really sort of contemplate what's been discussed prior and post this just to make sure that it is indeed 6 years and what are the contingencies or exceptions to that. Anyway, it got you into the document. I'm going to come up with another prompt that it's not suggesting, and let's see how it does. So I'm going to put a quasi legal guidance prompt in here. Now, it's not, it could be just business advice too, right? So again, where the practice of law is, let's not get into that. But this is the prompt. And basically say I'm a small business owner and I have Adobe, lots of small business owners do, and they've been asked to sign an MSA like this. So I just put in here, if I'm a small business only offering services, executive education, in the US, what provisions might I want to negotiate out or otherwise change? Now, I have no idea what it's going to do with this. I don't know if it's going to basically say, sorry, I can't tell you that. Let's find out together here. Okay, as expected, very unhelpful. It's basically going through every section and telling me, well, negotiate it as a small business. Thank you. It's not giving me any specifics. And of course, it says consulting with a legal professional is recommended. I'm going to try to force it here a bit. I know we're running long at 8 minutes at this point, but I think it's worth it. Let's see how far. Okay, so there's definitely very strict guardrails on this. I said, okay, thanks. Can you give me specific ideas on how to mitigate my burden, even though I misspelled burden, in terms of data protection and record keeping? I will not have access in any way to law firm X's data. I'm literally just teaching in person for an afternoon. Again, I'm trying to tell my AI assistant, listen, I'm not even dealing with data. How can I mitigate my burden that is presented in this MSA? Now, between you and me, I know as a lawyer, I can write a rider. I can cover this in the statement of work. These might be suggested or not by the AI assistant, but it doesn't even do that. It just focuses on what I need to do to enter the premises and physically be present inside the law firm. And it kind of forgets that I'm talking about the MSA. Okay, so my take on this is basically it's good in terms of an AI assistant to understand the document and navigate the document. Think of it as sort of a really amazing search tool for those documents or set of documents. Again, highly useful, but I don't sense there's a degree of reasoning that's going on with the content or substance of those documents. So just be warned and use it appropriately. And hey, listen, this is great. I'm sure they're going to continue to develop it. One other thing I'll just share here. So it's based on OpenAI's platform. So that's really what's driving this is OpenAI. I don't know if it's which version of GPT is doing it, but obviously Adobe has applied its own responsible AI and alignment standards. So that's my first run with Adobe's AI assistant. Have fun with it and let me know what you find.